As the country aims to vaccinate the general population this fall, a big challenge continues to be convincing people to get immunized for COVID-19 as disinformation and conspiracy theories spread right across the web. But a new social media campaign called Science Up First is aiming to change all of that. Joining me live tonight is Anthony Morgan. He's a PhD researcher, a former Daily Planet host, and helped launch Science Up First. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. So, Anthony, tell us a bit about this campaign, and why do you and other members feel the need to fight back against misinformation related to the pandemic?
Yeah, so thank you so much for having me, first of all. Science at First is a coalition of researchers, epidemiologists, virologists, science communicators, anybody who's in the health field who is really concerned about the startling rise of misinformation and how we might best address that.
So what's been the biggest challenge out there so far?
So the biggest challenge is the speed and depth with which misinformation can spread online. I mean, most people get their news online these days, according to, anecdotally we know that, and according to studies, that seems to be the case. And misinformation spreads much faster and more easily than other kinds of, better sourced information. And so it's really an uphill battle trying to figure out how to make sure that Canadians have access to the best information available.
So how do you successfully debunk a conspiracy theory?
I would say that the most effective strategy, in my experience, is to practice curiosity. It's not I can count on my fingers the number of times I've changed somebody's mind by calling them, a dummy who doesn't know anything. It's, demonstrably ineffective. What does seem to be effective is stepping into curiosity and empathy and trying to understand how people came to understand or think the way that they do. And often that process will help them to kind of identify gaps in logic that they might have without feeling attacked.
Do you feel that a lot of this is fear-based and that's why there's so much misinformation out there?
I think that's a substantial portion of it. I mean, this is my first pandemic. I don't know about you, and it's a really scary thing for most people. We like to have a sense of certainty, and so it can be alarming to have that kind of stripped away from us, and we want to have a story that we can fill in, and so we'll fill in just about any story that makes sense to us. And sometimes, unfortunately, they're not great stories.
You are a millennial yourself. We've seen across Canada that the demographic being targeted and blamed for their pandemic behavior is misinformation leading to their bad behavior. Do you think that's a factor, or what kind of message do you have for millennials?
I'd say the message that I have for millennials is the same one that I have for everybody else. If you are on social media and you see a piece of information, and in particular, if you notice that you feel some sense of outrage or surprise or shock, then that's probably a good indication that that might not be an accurate source of information. And so it's a good time to dig in and try to find some sources for yourself to see whether it's accurate, or better yet, find Science Up First who have made that process really easy for you.
What do you say to folks who say that you shouldn't engage with those people or shine even a greater spotlight on these myths and on these conspiracy theories?
I would say that, there's a lot of debate even within our own field about how to do this. I study science communication as a profession, and I would say that a good strategy is the best way to eat an elephant is one bite at a time. So, and I think it's worth it to try to engage without being aggressive about it.
All right. Is there anything else that we should know about this campaign that you're putting out there on social media?
Yeah, definitely. I would really encourage people to go to scienceupfirst.com. You can sign up there as long as you've got a social media account, and you can help to amplify the best information available to Canadians all across this country. You can also follow us on any of the big social media platforms at Science Up First.
All right. Thank you so much for your time tonight. Anthony Morgan with Science Up First.
Thank you so much.